Welcome back to English 4.0, the radio show. Let's go! Advanced. Hello and welcome to Advanced class number 106. That's right, class number 106 now. Getting started with a little review of what we saw in class number 105. In the last class, we talked about on doing something, and almost like the word upon that we say once upon a time, but on doing something, and I said, on entering the room, I saw my favorite student, for example. We also saw whilst, in the sense of at the same time, whilst. Whilst talking on the phone, I saw Alberto, for example. So on receiving the news, she called her mother. Here there was no delay. On receiving the news, at the moment that she received the news, she called her mother. On entering the room, I saw my friend. On seeing his reaction, I asked him what was wrong. So at the moment I saw his reaction, oh my gosh, and he looked sad. So I asked him what was wrong. Okay. Ask me if I'll celebrate on finishing the course. Kyle, will you celebrate on finishing the course? Yes, I'll probably celebrate on finishing the course. Will you celebrate on finishing the course? I could say, will you celebrate upon finishing the course? You should. If you work hard and study and follow all the material, you will have learned. There we are with that future perfect tense. You will have learned a lot, so you should celebrate, sure. Did she jump for joy on receiving her acceptance letter? Yes, she jumped for joy. Yes, she was so excited. She jumped for joy on receiving her acceptance letter. Ask me if I smiled while reading my book. Kyle, did you smile while reading your book? Now, we could say while. We have the structure whilst doing something with the gerund, whilst reading your book. This, I'm going to be honest with you, this is a structure that we use. A lot of native speakers will simply say while, and followed by the gerund. But we can say whilst. Ask me if I smiled whilst reading my book. Kyle, did you smile whilst reading your book? Did you smile while reading your book? Yes, I did. I smiled whilst reading my book, or while reading my book. Ask me if I check my email whilst having dinner. Kyle, do you check your email whilst having dinner? Yeah, I do. I sometimes do. Not always, but I sometimes do. All right. Now it is time to do what I promised. I promised in the last class that I would take a look at translation list number 31 in its entirety, meaning I would look at the whole list, because yesterday we only had time for three. We only had time for 3 sentences, and we ran out of time. So we'll start that again. Let's go ahead with translation list 31. Translation. Yes, it is time for our translation list number 31 here. And this is true. This first one is absolutely true. And I'm sure as well, this is true for me and also Nacho, our sound man. Me lo estoy pasando bomba. Right? Me lo estoy pasando bomba. In English, I'm having a blast. We say, I'm having a blast. Number 2. A medida que se retiraban, volaban todos los puentes que cruzaban. Tricky. As they retreated. As they retreated. So a military strategy, they're pulling back, they're retreating. As they retreated, they blew up. They blew up every bridge they crossed. As they retreated, they blew up every bridge they crossed. Number 3. Digamos que es solo una corazonada. Let's say it's only a, what was the word? Hunch. Hunch. H-U-N-C-H, a hunch. I have a hunch. A hunch, una corazonada. A hunch, that's an interesting word, isn't it? A hunch. Okay. Number 4. Tengo un extraño presentimiento. I have a strange feeling. I have a strange feeling. Yes. Number 5. Tienes miedo de tu propia sombra. You're afraid of your own shadow. 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 Sometimes my students ask me, they say, Kyle, what is the difference between shadow and shade? Shadow and shade, right? Now the shade is the area that where the light has been blocked. So if you have a big tree, there is some shade there, and it's often cooler. So in the summertime, I always look for shady areas that have shade. Right, the sun is blocked, and in Madrid, near the Puerta del Sol, they put up those covers over the street. They put up I don't know what they call them, some sort of covering over some of the streets to provide shade. Now the shadow is more like a silhouette. It is shade. Inside the shadow is shade, but the shadow is more like a silhouette that often carries the shape of something. So you can say, I can see the shadow of the microphone. Is there shade? Well, yes, there is. There's shade in the shadow. But shadow carries the shape. So we can have a shadow of a tree or a shadow of a person as they walk down the street. Right? Number 6. Me gusta sentarme en la sombra y no hacer nada. So this one, now you should know this one. And it's true. I like to sit in the shade and do nothing. In the summertime, it is true. I like to sit in the shade and do nothing. I remember when I first came to Spain 6.5 years ago, and I remember sitting in the shade near the Plaza España. It was very hot, so I was looking for any way to get out of the heat. And I found a shady area, and I sat there, and it was nice. Number 7. Lo puedes hacer o de esta manera o de esta otra manera. You can do it either this way or this other way. Okay, so there are some ways here. You can do it either this way or this other way. Number 8. Ambos se apuntaron al curso. They both signed up for the course. To sign up, apuntar, to sign up. Phrasal verb there, to sign up for a course or a program. They both signed up for the course. Number 9. Ninguno de los dos firmaron el acuerdo. Neither of them signed the agreement. Neither of them signed the agreement. Neither of them signed the agreement. Number 10. Este acuerdo es vinculante. This agreement is binding. binding. So it means that it's valid. You have to adhere to it. You have to follow it because it's binding. This agreement is binding. It's still in force, right? En vigor. It's still active. It's still applicable. So it's binding. This agreement is binding, we say. Number 11. Estoy en un aprieto. It's a difficult situation to be in. I'm in a bind. I'm in a bind. That's right, I'm in a bind, we say. Can you help me out? I'm in a bind. Number 12. ¿Me puedes encuadernar estas páginas? Can you bind these pages for me? Can you bind these pages for me? Stick them together. Bind them. Yeah, sometimes sometimes I go and get things bound. We have the verb to bind. Bind, bound, bound. It's an irregular verb. And I prepared a lot of exercises. I have prepared many exercises for using with students. And what I've done a few times is gone to a simple papeleria and said, "Can you please bind these?" Right, a little shop that sells papers and pens and things, and said, "Can you bind these for me?" And they put them they spiral bind them for me. Put them together. So to bind is essentially to fix things together. Yes, to attach them. So they bound them. Can you bind these for me? Can you bind these pages for me? That's number 12. So we're getting into some advanced words here, some vocabulary that's getting a little bit more difficult. And studying is key. The studying is key, right? Make sure that you're following along at home and studying the vocabulary and the translation lists because you can learn a lot from these. Okay?
Expression of the day.
Yes, it is time for the expression of the day. The expression of the day today is, the coast is clear. The coast. La costa, but we say the coast is clear. It means there's no one there. So if we are criminals and we're doing some suspicious activity, maybe we rob a bank, and I say we're hiding around a corner, and I say, let me know when the coast is clear. So take a look. Look out there and see if there are any police or anyone coming. You say, okay, the coast is clear. Let's go. Run. The coast is clear. It means there's no one watching. We have privacy. The coast is clear. Or if we want to walk through an area and we don't want anyone to see, when they're not looking or when they're gone, the coast is clear. It's clear. You can go. You won't be seen. So that's our expression of the day. The coast is clear. Okay. Now, we've talked about a number of structures using the gerund lately, and I'd like to talk about prior to plus gerund, which is essentially like saying before plus gerund. So I lived in Canada, then I came to Spain. And you can say, you lived in Canada prior to coming to Spain. Now, this is true that I moved to Holland. Then I moved to Spain. So you can say, Kyle, you moved to Holland prior to moving to Spain. Now, my brother, as you may know, if you listen regularly, you may know that my brother lives in Malaysia. But he lived in Korea before that. So he lived in Korea prior to moving to Malaysia. He lived in Korea prior to living in Malaysia. Now, did you study French prior to studying English? Did you? Yes, I studied French. Many of my students have studied French prior to studying English. Yes. Prior to. Alaska was part of Russia prior to becoming a U.S. state. It was. Yeah, until, I believe, 1867, which is the same year that Canada had its confederation. 1867, Russia was sold to the United States. Yes. We'll look at this structure a bit more tomorrow, but let's move on to our vocabulary of the day.
Vocabulary of the day.
All right, it is time for the vocabulary of the day. Our first word today, actually 3 words in Spanish, atar cabos sueltos. To tie loose ends. To tie loose ends. Number 2, pasado de moda. Out of fashion. Out of fashion. Yes. Like those bell-bottom pants. You know what I'm saying, Nacho? Those bell-bottom pants? Are they in fashion or out of fashion? Yeah, they're out of fashion, yes. So I should throw out all my old bell-bottom pants, I suppose. I have 7 pairs. No, I'm kidding. Volverse loco. Volverse loco. To go crazy. To go crazy. Yes. Reto. Un reto is a challenge. Challenge. Tramposo. The last word, tramposo. Cheat or a cheater. A person who cheats is a cheater. Don't be a cheater. Play by the rules. Now, we're almost out of time. The last thing we have in our class is the word until. Hasta. I will be here until the end of the show. I will keep talking until the end of the show. Until the end of the show. We'll be on the air. This show will be on the air until 6 o'clock. Will you listen to every episode until this course is over? Until it's finished? Speaking of being over, I think our show is over now. We're completely out of time. We'll review this tomorrow, and we'll go back and talk about prior to as well, and a new translation list. Lots to do tomorrow. I hope you'll join me. We'll see you then. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.